Hi there, it's Josie from Women Who Lead with Heart coming on for my weekly live. And today's training is all about procrastinating. Why do we do it? And how can we break this terrible habit? If you're watching, chances are it's a problem for you, and that many of us have experienced the negative impacts of procrastinating. It sucks. You don't want to do it. You do it anyway. You judge yourself for doing it. Then you get down on yourself and beat yourself up some more. And the thing that you're supposed to do still doesn't get done. And so the negative spiral and the circle just keeps going. If you're watching live, come on in and say hi. Let us know if you have a problem with procrastinating. And if you're watching on replay, give us a hashtag replay because it's always good to know who's out there, who I'm communicating with, who is receiving what I am putting down. All right, so if tonight's training is all about procrastinating, I'm just going to start with some level setting, like why do we do it? Like what is it about task management that has us procrastinate? And I want to alleviate some of the blame, some of the shame that you might be heaping on yourself. If this is a problem for you, if you do procrastinate, you can give yourself a little bit of a break to know that it's it's actually makes a ton of sense when you understand how your brain works, why you might procrastinate. You might be procrastinating simply because the tasks that you're supposed to do that you're delaying or deferring or avoiding or resisting simply don't feel good. Yeah, I see a girlfriend here. Somebody who's ready to stop overthinking it and end procrastination. So first of all, let's just give ourselves a break and say it happens because we care about our results. We are high achievers and we want our product and that which we actually tackle and commit to and complete to be good. And sometimes the stuff that we have on our plate isn't fun, and our brain likes to do fun stuff. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Our monkey mind seeks pleasure and avoids pain. And that's a big part of what our brain is here to do, is to seek pleasure and avoid pain. And so if you've got tasks on your plate that aren't fun, I need to make an appointment to go to the dentist. Not a lot of fun in that. And perhaps some pain. So it's only natural that your brain will have you throw up some obstacles or you'll find ways to avoid taking on the task. So why else will we not do stuff that we want to do, we need to do, we should do, but we're just not doing it? It can be that the task has sort of a long-term nature to it. Our brain also is addicted to getting things done quickly and having sort of an immediate feedback loop of immediate gratification. And even if it's hard, we want to see the results quickly. That gives us a little boost of dopamine, the kind of do it hormone. So if the task has a long-term nature to it, it can be really easy to delay getting started because you just don't see the results happening anytime soon or any immediate benefit. You could be procrastinating because there's fear to take steps for a variety of reasons. Let's say it's a difficult conversation that you have to have, and you're procrastinating having it because you're a people pleaser and you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or you're afraid of the consequences if you're going to give somebody some hard feedback. Maybe something negative might happen. You might lose access or complicate something else, and you're protecting yourself. You could be afraid to take steps because of your fear of failure or fear of rejection. You don't want to feel bad, and so you avoid taking steps or taking action so that you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to risk something to make you look incompetent or to feel humiliated or to somehow be rejected or not win. That's not a good feeling, and so you might put it off. Fear to take steps can also come from criticism, both internal and external. Like a desire to avoid criticism is something that perfectionists will suffer. They'll not get started because they don't want their final product to be anything less than perfect. So it's this twisted sort of folding up on itself that you've got to do something, but if you really care about it being perfectly perfect, you might not even get started because you'll start critiquing it in your own mind, thinking it's not good enough, and so why even start? Another reason that we might be afraid to take the first steps is that we're afraid of, well, people pleasing. We're afraid of hurting somebody else's feelings, or uh, our own reputation feels at risk. We want to keep safe. So there can be many reasons why we're afraid to get started. We can also just have resistance, that long-term, short-term balance, that if it was something that if we did quickly and it could be done and then we could move on, we might do it. But if it's a longer-term project or if the results take longer, then we procrastinate. You can think about wanting to lose 20 pounds and it feels like that's going to take too long, so you just eat the donut now because it doesn't feel like there's an immediate cause and effect. But if you needed to lose just 30 ounces, you probably would have a more immediate cause and effect to your actions and be more motivated. Lots of other reasons we procrastinate. We're lazy. We want to avoid discomfort. Again, that's our monkey mind seeking pleasure. There can be things that we have to do, like clear out our closet or our garage, and it just doesn't feel like something that we want to get up and go do. It feels like it's a task that's a chore that takes energy and we don't want to. Or we're overwhelmed, like bigger picture. Let's say you're an artist and you have a beautiful piece of art that you would love to hang and show, but you're just not getting around to it because it feels too overwhelming. Like, how would you find a place that you could show your art? Who would you contact? What would the first steps be? What does the outcome even look like? Are you going to sell your art? Sometimes we just get so overwhelmed with a lack of clarity of not knowing what the final outcome would even look like that we don't take any steps in the direction that we think is our goal. So is this resonating for any of you? Give me a hell yes if you're out there and if you're tracking. All right. So there are themes to all of these different types of procrastinating, and they have to do with avoiding discomfort, fear of the unknown, fear of what might happen if you actually take the steps, an inner critic or self-doubter that already starts sabotaging your forward-moving energy because you have an overactive mind that's criticizing yourself, and difficulty deciding, like actually just making a decision and moving on and stop dithering and stop kind of wrestling or overthinking. And both of those two last things I've given talks on in the last 2 weeks: self-doubt and needing to decide, how we become more decisive. So if you're interested in this whole topic, there's some related topics that support this whole theme. Okay, so your brain. We function with neurotransmitters in our brain, and there's some that we can leverage to help us overcome bad habits like procrastination. Have you heard of dopamine and serotonin? These are the happy hormones, the feel-good neurotransmitters that are in our brain that are the result. They function in a multitude of ways, but in this particular circumstance that we're talking about now, the dopamine in our brain is what helps us think and plan. It's our focus hormone. It's what helps us get things done. It affects our motivation. And dopamine, we can actually become a little bit addicted to the dopamine hits of cause and effect, doing something and getting a result. This is why so many people like to write lists, is that having things on your list and crossing them off, especially if it's with a big black pen, can give you just a teeny hit of that I did it dopamine hormone. That's why I recommend that if you like to make lists, your very first thing on your list should be write a to-do list so that after you finish writing it, you can cross it off. And then that way you get your positive feedback loop going. So dopamine is your reward brain chemical. It's all about desire and cravings and motivation. So it can work both ways. It can actually lead you towards more pleasure and away from something that's not as pleasurable, like towards the donuts and away from exercising. But if you can somehow find a do it feedback loop, like breaking a really big task into just very small tasks and calling those your to-dos, you can actually leverage our natural addiction to dopamine by making it work for you, not making it so overarching that you don't know when you'll ever be done, but to make maybe a list of 1,000 things that you could do and start striking some of those things off. So are you tracking? What are you thinking? Are you following me? Another brain chemical that we're talking about in the happy hormones is serotonin. And this is your mood enhancer, your mood regulator. And what helps boost serotonin in your life is exercise and sunlight and bright light. That's why we sometimes associate serotonin deficiency with seasonal affect disorder or feeling sort of depressed seasonally when there's less natural light in the wintertime. So you can boost this by vigorously exercising outside on a sunny day and then coming to your to-do list with some boosted brain chemistry that'll help you tackle the things that you're resenting or avoiding or feeling resistant towards and not wanting to tackle. So knowing how your brain works and knowing that these happy hormones can be leveraged might be one thing that you can use to your advantage. And now I'm going to give you a bunch of tactics. Are you ready? Okay, number one, I gave it to you before. If you have a big task to do, break it up into a bunch of little tasks. Don't write, you know, make my thesis paper or do my project proposal as as an itemized thing on your to-do list. It's too big. You need to break that stuff down into like what's the very first thing that you might do and make them really small and do those. You can actually see a lot more momentum and forward motion if you break things into very small parts. If you break them into tons of pieces and just do one and see yourself having accomplished that. It can be helpful for you to get an accountability partner. Once you break all those things up, you say, hey, I just need to own this with somebody that by the end of this week, I'm going to do 5 things on this a day, and here's my list. And every day you can say to your accountability partner, I did 5 of 5. I did 5 of 5 again. This time I did 4 of 5, but I'm still on it. And that can be really helpful too, to have somebody that you know you're reporting back to and you can be accountable to, not just your own monkey mind. Let's talk big picture. I think the biggest thing is to go into the resistance and know what is it that I'm resisting? What do I feel overwhelmed by or afraid of or resistant to? What am I feeling that like the dissonance? Why am I not leaning forward to this? And just name all the things. It takes too much time. I don't like the task. I'm not good at it. I'm afraid that I'll be criticized. I don't know how. Um, all of the things, actually taking some time to actually go into where is the resistance or the fear and name them. When you take responsibility then for all those emotions, you might be able to sort of melt the glacier a little bit. You might be able to disintegrate some of the knots that are holding you back from actually approaching it. If you look at it and say, I'm afraid that I don't know how to do it, then you have to face the fact that maybe you know how to do some of it. Maybe there's somebody that you could ask. Maybe there's some research you could do. Maybe there's some networking or contacts that you could leverage. Maybe there's some brainstorming you could do to come up with what the next best actions could be. There are all of these ways you could be creative that can challenge the thoughts that you're just avoiding with. If you feel like, well, I don't even know how to get started, you're avoiding the entire topic. Go into the resistance and say, why am I avoiding it? And name all those things and then deal with them one by one. Is that helpful? Are you tracking? All right. So if you find the fear, if you find the resistance and you face it and you name it, then you might be able to break those the first steps up and do a quick pass. You could do something like, all right, for a half an hour, I'm going to do this one action that I think will unblock and unlock me. Or for 30 minutes, I am going to start writing the outline of the project proposal. And when I'm done, the first draft will be done. It will be completely rough. I'll have to do 30 more of them, but at least I will have done the first one. Do you see how I'm tracking here? I'm encouraging you to just get started and try something quick rather than not doing anything at all. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for it to be perfectly done. Try done is better than perfect. Try doing a little something and seeing how it goes. And give yourself a time. Say to yourself, okay, I'm not leaving this chair for 20 minutes. I'm not going to distract, I'm going to silence my phone. I'm not going to surf anything. I'm only going to write about this one project that I'm working on for 20 minutes. And when the time is up, then I'll let myself have a break. This is how you can manage yourself towards an unpleasant task or one that feels overwhelming and insurmountable that you're procrastinating on. And it can be one too that where you don't even know the next steps. You could ask yourself, okay, what might be three actions I could take? Who are people that I could call? What are some resources? What's the last thing I've thought of that was a good idea in this realm? What am I encouraged to do? What would be fun to do? So you don't think of the overarching goal of like selling my art and thinking, but I don't have a Pinterest board, or I don't know how to use Etsy, or I don't know if anybody would even want to buy this, or I still haven't framed it. Think of the first actions that you might take that would just get you a little bit closer without worrying about completing it and having it be perfectly done. Just start breaking up the tasks and attack them. What your whole goal is for you to start getting unstuck and building some trust with yourself. When you see yourself take some action, you will start to feel so much relief and momentum that you did something. Don't let your inner critic take over and say, well, that's not even close to it being done. Just be proud that you went in, that you faced it, that you started taking action, and that you did something. And that's how you start building trust with yourself and knowing that you can keep going. All right. So, what of these tips seem to work for you? You can claim them by posting them in the comments below. It's helpful for you to actually engage with the content and say, this is what my problem is. This is what I'm procrastinating on. And this is the way I think I'm going to go after it. This is my idea, given what you've suggested, the things that really resonated for me. And if you need an accountability partner, that's one thing that a coach can do for you. So if you want to learn more, you can certainly reach out to me and talk to me about what it could be like to have somebody in your corner that helps you make better decisions, that helps you save time, that helps you build trust with yourself, that helps you know that you are good enough and you can stop doubting yourself and holding yourself back. There's nothing like improving your own thoughts so you have better feelings and higher quality actions. So let's get after it. All right, ladies, that's it from me tonight. This comes with so much love. Go well.